Today, we're talking about something absolutely essential for any Java developer, JDBC. Think of it as the ultimate bridge that lets your Java applications talk to pretty much any database out there. Let's dive right in.
So let me ask you this. You've just built this awesome application in Java, right? But all your important data, all the good stuff, is sitting over in a database. They're basically in two different worlds. So how do you get them to actually talk to each other? How does your app query that data or update it or manage it?
Let's just imagine it this way. You've got your Java application living on its own little island. And way over there, you have the database mainland, where all the data lives. Now, if you want to get anything done, you've got to have a super reliable way to get messages and goods back and forth. What you need is a bridge.
And that bridge, that is JDBC. It stands for Java Database Connectivity. It's basically an API, a standard set of tools and rules that lets your Java code hook up with a database. And the best part? It doesn't care if it's MySQL or PostgreSQL or Oracle. JDBC gives you one consistent way to talk to all of them.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start by looking at your JDBC toolkit. Then, we'll walk through a simple 6-step blueprint to make a connection. After that, we'll see it all in action with something called CRUD operations, and we'll wrap up with what you need for your next build.
All right, so to build this bridge, you need a toolkit. Let's take a look at the 4 essential pieces you'll be using pretty much every single time. First up, you've got the driver manager. I want you to think of this class as the project foreman. Its job is to manage all the different database drivers. See, each database like MySQL or PostgreSQL needs its own special translator, and that's the driver. The driver manager is the smart one who looks at your request and says, you need to talk to MySQL? I'll grab the right driver for you. Once the foreman picks the right driver, you get a connection object. This is it. This is the foundation of your bridge. It's the live open communications channel, like an open phone line, straight to your database. Everything, every command you send, all the data you get back, it all travels through this one connection.
So how do you actually send your messages across that bridge? Well, you use a statement object. This is your courier. You use it to package up your SQL commands and send them zipping across the connection to the database. It's the vehicle that carries all your instructions.
And when you ask the database for information, well, the data comes back on a result set object. This is like your cargo ship. It holds all the data that your query retrieved, usually in a nice table format with rows and columns. And it gives you easy ways to go through those results one row at a time.
Okay, we've got our tools. Now we need a plan. And the great thing is, JDBC gives us this super reliable 6-step blueprint that you can use every single time to get connected. Let's walk through it. The blueprint is really straightforward. 1, you import the packages you need. 2, you load and register the database driver. 3, you use the driver manager to establish a connection using the database URL, your username, and password. 4, you create a statement from that connection. 5, you execute your SQL query and then process the data that comes back in the result set. And finally, and this one is super important, number 6, you close the connection to free up those database resources.
Seriously, following these steps, especially that last one about closing the connection, is absolutely crucial. If you forget to close connections, you create resource leaks, and over time that will slow down and eventually crash your entire application. This blueprint, it's your path to a stable, secure, and reliable process every time.
All right, our bridge is built. Now what can we actually do with it? Well, we can perform the 4 fundamental operations that are really the bedrock of almost every single database application out there. We call it CRUD.
CRUD is an acronym. It stands for Create, Read, Update, and Delete. And honestly, just about everything you could ever want to do with a database falls into one of these 4 categories. It's the basic language of data manipulation.
Here's a quick look at how those operations map to actual SQL. You use an insert command to create new records. You use select to read or retrieve existing ones. Update is for modifying records that are already there, and delete, well, that's for removing them. In JDBC, you'd send these commands using your statement object, usually with a method called execute query for your selects and execute update for everything else.
Phew, we've covered a lot of ground. The theory, the tools, the basic operations. Now let's put it all together and talk about the key things you need to remember for your next project.
So let's recap the big stuff. 1, JDBC is your standard API bridge between Java and your database. 2, your core toolkit is always going to be the driver manager. connection, statement, and result set. 3, always follow that 6-step blueprint, and especially remember to close your connection. And 4, pretty much everything boils down to create, read, update, or delete.
And there you have it. You now have the fundamental knowledge to connect your Java applications to a whole world of data. The blueprint is clear, the tools are in your hands. So really, the only question left is, what are you going to build?